All right, thank you for coming back and joining us here. FBJ Studios Part 2, Hat Tip. To you folks for coming back and joining us today. Also, another hat tip, camera lady Amber Jones. Thanks for providing such excellent work. Before we get into any of this, I just want to give you some contact info. My Facebook is just my name, Stan White. That's W-H-Y-T-E. My Twitter is Stan White87. It's W-H-Y-T-E. And my, what else do I have? My YouTube page where you can find these videos, Stanley White Jr. Social media is crazy. All right, that's all of them. So that's the contact info. Facebook, Stan White. Twitter, Stan White87. Gmail, stan.white87@gmail.com. YouTube, Stanley White Jr. You can find all these videos and more coming each and every day. We're bringing the heat. We're bringing it live. Wow. Okay, let's scroll back a little bit. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the part 2 of the trade catastrophe of Twisted Thursday. There's a guy in our league who wants Dirk Nowitzki, right? Everybody remembers him from the finals a couple years ago with that fadeaway, that lean back with the knee there, and LeBron's trying to guard him, and Bosh trying to guard him, and Dirk just keeps doing this, buckets every time. Best finals I might have ever seen. I don't give a damn what anybody said about last year's final. Dirk getting that championship is probably the highlight of my generation, besides Jordan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, 2, 3 the best. All right, anyway, there's a guy in my league who really wants Dirk, right? So this morning he proposed Taj Gibson of the Chicago Bulls, 12.8 fantasy points per game, and Lance Stevenson, who he knows I want Lance, and I know he wants Dirk. So this is a problem. Lance is enjoying a breakout season. He's in a contract year at 17.4 fantasy points per game. He's killing it. I had him last year. He was amazing for me, even though my team sucked. Rest in peace. They keep the king at AC/DC, which was for Anthony Davis when he didn't win Rookie of the Year, but came damn close. So I rejected that deal, and I have a heck of a lot of trader's remorse with this deal because of the fact that even though the numbers suggest that I am giving up more for that one guy, Lance is still a key cog in the Indiana Pacers lineup. So that's the thing. It's not just the numbers that you have to assess. Coaches, rosters, lineups, matchups, who's playing who. The Clippers don't play D and they don't rebound. If you've got Houston, if you've got the Beard going against the Clippers, you ride that hard. You have to be aware of the different personnel types that are in this league, and it's very time consuming, which is why if you don't know what you're doing, you can get robbed, which I got robbed last year. I'll tell another story about that. Again, trades. So I rejected that. I thought I could get more value out of him, out of the owner who wanted Dirk. So I countered with Thaddeus Young, our Sixers, and Lance Stevenson for Dirk and Shump, who we all, if you've seen any of these videos, you know how much I hate Shump this year. That deal wound up getting rejected, and then there was another move made on top of that where I said, okay, let's see if we can go Brandon Bass and Lance Stevenson for Dirk and Shump. I didn't pull that tape. I pulled that offer because it's getting close to the weekend, and as we stated earlier before, the points, it's very close, and I need this victory. Trades hold your roster in limbo because you can't. The more players involved, the more players involved, the more spots that are tied up by guys that are coming and going out of your lineup that need to remain on the roster for the trade to be approved and legitimized. We're getting too close to the weekend for this BS. The weekend is when all the magic happens. It's when I lost last week, if you remember, on a 60-point swing on a Saturday night. I'm still not over it. Actually, if you check out the channel, you'll see the live reaction towards that. That's what started all this. This is why it happened. All right. So anyway, we're going to table the dirt talks, and we'll just get rid of that for right now. I mean, it's really tough trading, and it takes the fun out of fantasy sometimes when you try to rebuild your lineup from scratch based off of your disappointment in your draft. I had a terrible draft, so take my advice: don't drink and draft. Never ends well. So moving forward from trades, we're gonna table these talks, and we'll pick them up sometime in the near future. Not sure when, but soon. It's really distressing to wake up and check your league homepage and just see that you have 3 offers all lined up for you. I texted a friend in the league, and I told him that the Sam Hinkie cloud is over my head because I did start this. And this is my problem now. Hopefully they can leave me alone, because now I'm telling people, and basically I'm going fishing with these guys. The only way I give up KD is either for Steph Curry or Kevin Love, or some combination where I can max out, I can double the points that I'm getting from Durant. Still talking about trades. That's weird. I guess I'm not burnt out. All right, so we're done with that, and I want to get into a great piece that I read today by John Cregan, who is a fantasy expert on the ESPN FantasyBasketball.com. It's about this great concept called 1 + 1 + 1. Gee, Stan, what does 1 + 1 + 1 mean? Well, it means that there are a few select players out there in the association who are producing at least 1 steal, 1 block, and 1 3-pointer made per game. That's outrageous. It is, when you talk about special players that produce great numbers efficiently in fantasy, you want to talk about the 1 + 1 + 1 category, where you're getting defensive numbers and you're also getting offensive production. It means that they're on the court long enough to produce such numbers, and they're doing so at a consistent rate over the amount of the year. There's 4 players in the National Basketball Association, again, according to John Cregan. But there's 4 players, and the numbers speak for themselves, but John Cregan posted this today. There's 4 players in the association who average a 1 + 1 + 1 per game. You ready for it? Rudy Gay of Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken. No, he got traded somewhere else. Yikes, scratch that. I forgot about the Rudy Gay deal. Rudy Gay is one of the players. There is also Josh Smith of the Detroit Pistons. And then I own the other 2 guys. One of them I tried to trade this week, and the other one I wanted to cut 5 times this week. Wesley Johnson! It's been the craziest fantasy week I've had in my life. When I read that John Cregan article and found out Wesley's production, it's actually over the past 5, he's averaging it for a year, but over the past 5 games, he's actually averaging 1.2 steals per game, 1 3-pointer made per game, and 1 block per game, all while averaging 30 minutes per game. And this is all with the return of Kobe Bryant to the lineup. The Black Mamba, Kobe Bean Bryant, Laura Marion. I don't know, whatever other nicknames that you have for Kobe Bryant. He's still not going to be the player that he will be coming back from that Achilles injury at that age until probably March or April. So what does that mean? It means Wesley Johnson's still going to produce that 1 + 1 + 1. As of this morning, Wesley was only owned in 5.7% of leagues that run on the ESPN template. 5.7%, and he's one of 4 players that averaged a 1 + 1 + 1. We're going to start doing this segment called Stock Going Up, Stock Going Down. Let me tell you whose stock is up in my book right now. Wesley Johnson. And I'm going to quote John Cregan here. If you don't believe my faith in him, you should probably take an actual expert's opinion here. I'm not just some blowhard. And I quote, D'Antoni is the 1 + 1 + 1 godfather. Mike D'Antoni, the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, plays fast, up-tempo. He likes his guys having high energy, getting rid of the ball. in a fast manner. If you have ever read anything that you've wanted to read about the old school Phoenix Suns who got up and down the court in 2006, 2007, read Jack McCollum's 7 seconds or less. It's 6 seconds, 6 seconds or less, 7 seconds or less. It's about how he spends a whole season with the Phoenix Suns who did nothing but get the ball up in 6 seconds or less each time down the floor. It's a great philosophy behind it, and he's taken that to the Lakers. And actually, Nick Young, Jody Meeks, and Wesley Johnson, all of those swingmen type between 6'5" and 6'7" and played at 2-3 positions, have all enjoyed great seasons under D'Antoni's tutelage. Check out that article, guys. It's really, really, John Cregan's writes great stuff. He produces great stuff for ESPN Fantasy Basketball. Highly recommend. Again, John, hat tip, sir, to you. Thank you very much. So with that being said, let's get into the moves that I made for tonight's games. It's Thursday night, which, what does that mean? It means it's the worst night of the week in terms of how many games that are going to be played. It's the TNT Games of the Week. So that means that there's only 4 teams playing. It's the Chicago Bulls at OKC, and San Antonio Spurs at the Golden State Warriors, the Dubs. So I'll be matched up against Stephen Curry and Kawhi Leonard tonight, while I have 4 guys going. Patty Mills. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, and I can, so I will. Patty Mills, Boris Diaw of the Spurs, who are going against the Golden State Warriors, and Jeremy Lamb and Kevin Durant of the OKC Thunder. The reason why I made the pickup for Patty Mills is because Tony Parker's hurt. And this is another key point. You gotta be up on the news. Basketball is such a crazy game, a crazy sport where there's so many different variables. A guy that can get his playing time cut, a guy can get injured, and I'll give credit to ESPN.com, their news experts, their updates. It's constant, and you have to keep checking back. If you see that little red star next to that spreadsheet next to your player's name, you have to check it. You do not ignore anything, because it will come back and bite you in the ass. And so I learned today that just going through the waiver wire, Shelvin Mack is the person that I cut in order to get Patty Mills. And I did that because Shelvin, while he has produced for me 25 fantasy points in his last 2 games, I was able to take the gamble and say I need more points because Stephen Curry is a monster. And along with the fact that Patty Mills actually did have 13 fantasy points in this last game. So, with all of that said, I decided to take a chance on Patty Mills and hoping that he will produce somewhere around that 13 fantasy point range again tonight, considering the amount of playing time that he's going to get. I always like to have one boom goes the dynamite moment per telecast, and that was it right there. That means we should probably wrap it up for today. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna go. Ball is life. Fantasy is crazy. Enjoy the game tonight, folks. We're done.